we're back again for this edition of the Baer Faxt Live from Basel, as we know, supported and sponsored by Manuela in New York, by Art Farm. Now, I don't know if you've been to their restaurant and bar right in Soho yet in New York.
I was.
I mean, it's a great spot
Fantastic.
for, you have like fresh
Fantastic.
produce and fresh art. I mean, it's a place to be. So for more information, visit manuela.nyc.com. So now we're here in Basel with one of the world's great dealers who's been in the news a lot. We'll get to that soon, Kamel Mennour. It's day one. It's just finished of the fair. I got like 5 press releases in the space of 4 minutes about art sales.
Yes.
So what was it like for you on the ground?
I mean, day one was what it is now. I mean, we pre-sold works before, but with not the frenetic movement. People are really checking, thinking, studying, and they want to conclude in the booth. So day one was some of the conclusions that we had on the previews.
Be here by 12 to confirm your results.
Yes, and we'll try to be very strict because you can't, it's a match, the day one. We need to score. And artists are waiting for, if it's sold or not sold. And for us also, because we have 14 sales with us. So we need to be sure that this was reserved for this one, could be sold by another one.
Well, it's important because the rest of the time in the gallery, or if somebody takes their time to decide, that's okay. But you can actually miss sales if course of an hour it's not available, and then it is, and they said, well, I went and I bought something else.
Yeah, that's right. It's totally another context. In a gallery, we have coffee, conversation, we speak about many matters, no problem. People get home, they sleep, they come back the day after, even the weekend. In a fair, it's something that we need to be extremely on the match, and people need to say yes or no, and if it's no problem, because there's others people who are willing to have the work.
Now, 14 salespersons, so if they each do 2, it's 28. I mean, I got this press release, Werner, at 3 o'clock, 68 works.
Yeah.
It's like, did they make 68 phone calls? We sold your piece, we sold your piece?
So we created a WhatsApp group, and everyone, as you know, is with his iPhone. So whenever there's a hold or sold, we write it. So I ask the people to always check before speaking with someone, before concluding or not, if it's sold or not. We need to be extremely precise for collectors and to be gentle with the team. It's very difficult because you need to have this frenetic moment, but you also have to be very fair with your colleagues.
I was in Frieze, LA, and I saw work, and I talked to the director, and I said, can I have a reserve for an hour to call my client? She said yes. And then standing next to me was the owner of the gallery talking to some collector, and there was confusion in that point where he said, but I sold it. I said, well, it doesn't work like that because I saw you there and I was ahead of you. So it's like there's this strange phenomenon where people are getting turned down in art. They don't take it well, do they?
I totally understand, and it happened also to me. It's extremely difficult to be in this kind of situation in which someone is saying, okay, for an hour or 2 hours, whatever, and someone who could be the director or another sale who sold it before, but who was not very precise, saying that it was sold. Because when you turn from Josh, you go to Mark or to Steve, and getting from Josh to Mark, it's already sold. So it's difficult to send the text. So that's why I ask my people to WhatsApp and say, it's sold, it's sold. Because as you know, in the old time, we were, I mean, my ex-colleague were holding some red dots, but it doesn't fit here, red dots. But it's sold, red dots. But now it's a WhatsApp for us, I mean.
So are you sending out the press release? What do you think about people send out on day one, we sold this, 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 and this as a marketing move? Do you think that's a good thing, or is it not for you? Or what do you think of that?
Before we were not saying it, at the end, So, but now, I mean, to be in the race, to be in the mood, we are in a fair, so we are playing. It's the same. I love football, soccer. And it's the same if you are, scoring goals and you are not saying that you scored goals. So, I mean, it was not my DNA, but now we are saying, we sold at this fair, a Mitchell, we sold Adam Pendleton, we sold a Liu Fan. I said it, because it's some of the three of the 25 words that we sold. So we need to say it.
But it's like, to use your sports metaphor, I don't know if you have ESPN,
Yes,
but at the night, there were like the top 10
exactly.
of that. You want to be, as a gallery, mentioned in that top 10 list.
Of course.
And if you don't promote yourself, but it's kind of, I think, used to feel sort of uncool,
Yes,
but it's a friggin' trade show.
definitely. So I changed my mind. In the beginning, I was a little bit. Maybe it's the way that we are in Europe. Not we are hiding this question of money. It's something which is Judéo-chrétien. We don't say it. Vivons bien, vivons cachés. It's a French expression which says to live in a good way, you need to be hidden. But now, I mean, I'm an old guy. I'm 58 years old and 25 years of working. I changed my mind, and now I'm telling the world.
But there was always more of a, especially for collectors, a tax issue.
Yeah.
It's like if there's a wealth tax, you don't want to be spotted, so you're driving a Citroen instead of a Lamborghini.
Yeah.
So there was always like, particularly in Switzerland,
Yes.
hide your wealth.
The same, yeah.
Whereas America, it's like
Show.
neon sign
Show.
says, "Look at me."
Yeah, yeah. In France, when you are driving, even if it's not my car, but if you are driving a Lamborghini or whatever, these big cars, your car can be how do you say, attacked. This is it's French.
Well, other than the Tesla, that's another thing.
Tesla is another story.
That's another story. I'm glad I don't own one.
Yes.
But
My wife wanted one, and I was not for that. And now she said, "Oh, lucky we are not buying a Tesla." But anyway, it's another question. But concerning these sales, now we are saying, because we are part of the game, it's a race. We are strikers. We try to be the best. I mean, we are a gallery program, but whatever, we need also to do achievement, commitment for artists that we are working.
And the artists want it out there, or not, or they vary.
I mean, artists, as you know, they mostly hate to be in fairs. But the content in Art Basel, it's totally different. There's these dialogues, these symposium. So it's something.
But they used to always say they hated to be in the fair, and then when the fair business became so big, they'd be like, "I think you probably have a different problem. Like, aren't you taking my work to the fair?"
That's right.
So how do you deal with that?
It's a big question. Most of the artists want to be in the fair on day one because they want to be on the spotlights. Which mean that you are in the race. So it's extremely difficult. We try to create the dialogue, very good installation, hanging, but also to try to bring as many as you can. But of course, there's artists that you can't bring, and because we have a roster of artists which is bigger than the day one. So we need to
And I'm sure you're rehanging today.
It's totally a different booth today. So we have a team of 4 guys who are every night coming, and I'm so glad with them. They are doing an amazing job in all the fair that we are doing. Hong Kong, Miami, here, or whatever, Paris, which is easier. And they are coming the night, and for 2-3 hours they are here rehanging a new proposal.
But what about the art fair model? I mean, people talk about that being broken, but I think that's most punitive for the smaller to lower price galleries because the expense ratio is so high.
Yeah.
It's not much different for you than from some little guy, but your revenue that you're generating can be 10 times theirs or 50 times there. Yeah. So the art fairs are kind of essential sales platforms for the bigger galleries.
Yeah.
So that I don't think you think the model's broken for you.
Yeah.
But model's sort of broken for a gallery. If they don't hit their numbers, they're in trouble.
That's right. I mean, I was one of those galleries when I started. I even was not introduced, and I was not in the fair. So I was visiting and trying to read books and to understand and visiting museums. So when I got in, I tried from the level 1 to level 0 and to try to do as much as I could, creating this dialogue between contemporary art and established or modern artists, which is now what I'm trying to do in this new chapter I am now. So, I mean, that's right. For younger gallery, it's extremely difficult to get into fairs because it's so expensive and difficult to get there, and also to pay the rent of the booth. So for us, I mean, for those older the gallery that it's extremely important to be part of that, because the percentage of what we are doing in those fairs is getting more and more important from years to years. So it's extremely difficult. We are doing the best shows in the galleries, but at the end, we are selling works in the fairs. So it's this kind of dichotomy, which is not very not very easy to understand, but it's the reality. We need to be pragmatic to do very good shows as small Kunsthalle or museum small shows in the gallery to please the artist, also to do what we are supposed to do as a gallerist. But here I'm really a striker. I'm trying to do as much as I can. So I'm not drinking. I only eat fruit and cheese. That's it. And working.
Don't miss any of those penalty shots. Strikers
Penalties,
be on the spot,
very
you know,
important.
very important. You don't want it to come down and shoot out,
Yes, yes.
but you can't miss those. I
Yeah.
mean, these are like the layups.
Yes.
You can't miss the layup.
Yeah.
One more thing about the art fair, then I'm going to pivot a little bit. And I've been putting out for the art fair, I don't know if you read last week, and it's like, why not put the prices public on the labels?
We could at the end, you know, we could. It's a little bit obvious, maybe. But, you know, when we are sending the previews,
you have one preview with prices, one without.
Yes,
already. Right?
Some, and then some artists who do not allow us to put prices. So there's also rules, and we need to please everyone, artists, collectors. At the end, the best way would be to future the prices on the list or something. But there's so many people, waves and waves. We need a little bit to control, because at the end, it's the same if you open the door of your house. You need a little bit of intimacy, you know. We are promoting artists, selling artists.
It's not an intimate moment, the art fairs.
Yeah, it's a lot, you know.
Especially day one.
It's huge and it's insane. You can have only 2 or 3 minutes to wash your hands. That's it, and you take a sandwich, and it's at the end you can't even go with a client to a coffee. It's because it's waves of people, waves and waves.
Does it promote art or artists to galleries that are viable to be in a multitude of fairs? I mean, when you're looking to sign up an artist, are you subconsciously going, well, so-and-so, Alicia, she's able to make one for here and for here and for here. Yeah. So that's an artist that's going to be more viable to me, because I don't,
of course.
It's like I often say, like Vermeer wouldn't get a gallery because they're going to go, yo, it's Art Basel, Hong Kong, where's my painting? Yeah. And he goes, next year I'm making one.
Yeah, of course.
So Vermeer wouldn't make it in this climate, maybe.
He wouldn't afford to galleries. I mean, at the end, he did 28 or 29. So, so I totally agree and I understand that, you know, even if sometimes I'm a little bit frustrated, but when I have a conversation with an artist, when he tells me I don't have something, I understand. You know, so we need to try to select works, and sometimes with this artist and not this artist. It's like, you know, I would say I'm always giving this metaphor with football.
You got to put 11 out there.
11, and there's 4 or 5, you know, in the bench.
So am I going to see you with a little red and green screen coming down?
Yes.
Liu Fan coming down, coming in.
Yes.
That'd be kind of fun.
It's a little of that, you know.
If we could have a little bit more fun with this stuff.
We should.
We should. You know, the sports metaphors are particularly appealing. I like the Art Basels when the World Cup is going on.
Yeah.
And people are sitting outside or going for a drink after to watch the games.
Can I tell you a story? You know, I think it was when there was the World Cup. I think 5-6 years before, it was a huge match. I don't remember which one was it. But instead of being in the day one after some hours, I was in the terrace watching one of the football match. I'm very,
I'm glad you have your priorities,
somehow,
right? And I'm sure you're excited when you have football stars that are clients.
yeah, we had,
Mm.
some.
And there's more and more
And
coming.
there were some yesterday, There was Balak, the German guy. There were
Yeah,
some,
he's a friend of the Baer Faxt. So
Yes, he's a
it's
good
like,
guy.
but in America, it's like no one knows who he is.
Yeah.
But
So he
here
can
here
work.
he's like, Michael Jordan
Yes,
or something
exactly.
like that.
Yeah.
By the way, he has a great collection.
Fantastic collection.
Shout out to Michael and
Yeah.
Lindsay
Yeah.
for all that. So let's pivot a little bit. It's like we were talking earlier, and I was bringing up Ileana Sonnabend for her being a great collector as well as a great dealer.
Yeah.
You certainly did something that kind of, I think, shocked Europeans of taking 180 works that you own personally and donating them to.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this idea came up with the, we celebrated 25 years of the gallery last year, and with the publication with Edition Gallimard. And at the end, we didn't do it. I didn't want the way that we were working on, so we suspended it. And I started conversation with Fabrice Ergotte, who is the director of Musée Moderne de la Ville de Paris. And, it was extremely easy at the end. We spoke and we spoke, and we spoke about, some of the donation that he did with the one of Michael Werner, 10 years before, the German dealer, and also, remember me the name of the very famous English gallerist who gave
Anthony Dauphin.
Dauphin at Tate. So, I was speaking and it was okay, and with no wines and never drinking, but he asked me, joking, if I would consider this idea. And it came definitely something which was already on my mind. And, from 25 years, I was collecting works of artists that I was showing. Most of 99% of those 180 works came from show that we had at the gallery that I produced that we didn't sell.
I was going to say, were you choosing the thing that always struck me about European dealers is they would buy for themselves first, and then to their clients. And American dealers would sell to their clients, and if they bought one, they'd take the last one
at the end. So I'm an American guy. So because I want to try to give to my clients the best works, or to museum foundation. We work with all the biggest, in Europe. So I think I brought an incredible works, and I did a list, and it was amazing. And it surprised me because everything was in storage. And at the end, I have 5 kids, but I started from nothing.
I think that's got to be sort of the draw. Look what I've accomplished. My name is on the thing, and starting from nothing, I think is a better way than like, here's the big thick book that galleries do, and I sort of get it. And here's the one that MoMA bought. Here's the one but it's kind of self-serving. I mean, this is self-serving in like, look, mom, look, dad, look what I did.
Yeah. It's maybe for my son who is with me. He's a student, extremely good. He's much better than I was when I was 23. He knows already most of what I know, and he's knowing, and he's searching things that I don't understand. So it's from this new generation, and and give him as an example that I was extremely privileged to do what I did, and I'm so happy, and what art gave me as a gift. I did a Master of Economics. I would have been a very bad banker, the worst of the worst. But I came in the swimming pool with the art, and I learned, and I studied, and I read all the books I could, and I became slowly and slowly a much better gallery every day, trying to with many mistakes. But artists gave me everything. I was always giving this sentence to my people in the gallery: artists first. So which was my leitmotiv. Always art was the most important, and artists were the most important. And artists gave me this opportunity to buy all the works from 25 years. And then in the end, became.
There was a big Basel story. Maybe you recall one of the selection committee people here was a guy named Pierre Hubert.
Of course, yes.
And he manipulated his power.
I know.
To a great extent for personal issues and professional issues.
Yeah.
But artists made all this work available to him
Yeah.
with the understanding,
That it was in Lausanne for the museum.
and then
He sold it.
at Christie's.
Yeah. And one of the works were sold. I sold him one of the works, and he swore me that it was a work by Kader Atia, a huge installation at Biennale de Lyon, and he said to me that it would go to Musée de Lausanne in Switzerland. I was so pleased. It was the beginning of the gallery. I was 2-3 years. It was a baby gallery. For us, it was a huge amount, 60,000. I think the production was 40,000. So we earned nothing, but we sold it because it was for a museum. My obsession was bringing all those artists in museums, and I was so pleased and honored because he was a big name at the time. He was one of the biggest name here, and 6 or 8 months after, auction.
Well, I remember I wrote about it, and he wasn't happy. And it's a true story. He went to the police in Geneva to try to have me arrested for saying shit about what he did. It's like, really? All I did was tell the truth.
Yeah.
And it was an awful, awful moment for Art Basel.
Yeah.
It was kind of like, here's one of the key figures.
Yeah,
and
he was a key player. He was one of the most important.
And, if he had called you up and said, listen, business is bad. I need to buy 5 kids. I have to pay for university.
Yeah.
Let's work together.
It was not that.
That was one thing.
But I mean, doing that to a weak gallery as I was a very weak gallery, very young. And
he was a predator.
But he did that with big galleries in New York.
But he was a predator to the artists and all that. So a question I'm always...
But the thing is also, he had an incredible eye. I can say that. He was watching things, anticipating a career of artists.
Yeah, and
he had a very good eye.
And it's... it didn't have the same feel. There's actually the famous auction time of what really changed it with this one moment of Robert and Ethel Skull.
Of course.
Selling. And I actually went to that auction.
Wow.
So I must have been like 17 or 18.
Wow.
And the artists are freaking out and they're getting big prices. And that was like where the art world became a business.
Of course, yeah.
That one
turning
moment.
Point. Yeah.
That's the inflection point of all
point.
that. And turned out, as they said, that was beneficial to the artist. But there's right and wrong ways of doing it.
Of course, yes.
And the Pierre Hubert,
it's a shame,
was really an awful moment. I'm curious on another point in general. I'm talking to dealers that are quite successful. It's like, how do you deal with? There's 3 things can happen. Everything goes great, or the artist, things are going great, and they decide, well, I need to be with another big one, or from your vantage point, not going so well.
Yeah.
How do you
put
them on the, put the sign up and send off the field, kind of thing?
No, I decided from my beginning I wanted to stay in my city and to be one of the guy in Paris. I never listened to all the sirens telling me to or suggesting me and friends to open in New York or Hong Kong, whatever. I wanted to be very strong in Paris. I have 5 kids, the same wife since 32 years. I wanted to be very focused. So when because we brought many of the young generation from Paris, we had, I think, 7 or 8 Prix Marcel Duchamp. So we were one of the gallery who brought some of the very good artists, Kamel Mennour.
Duchamp Prize.
Duchamp Prize, sorry. For that, yeah. Sorry, it's my French.
Well, you are too, because he was French.
So. Duchamp Prize is the same that the Duchamp Prize in England. So, and some of the artists became very successful, identified, and getting in some of the foundation and museum. And they went some at Ausanviersen, which is good for me, at Pace, So it's, we have some good connection with some of my colleagues. And I want to be always, in my city, having this main situation. I mean, the mother gallery of some of the artists, and there with some of the very strong galleries that I didn't want to compete with.
But you've been able to retain?
Yes, not to retain, to collaborate.
To collaborate.
Yeah.
I mean, I always thought back in my OG gallery days that I liked working with Alyssa and Harmonica Ruth because they knew the situation on the ground there.
Yeah.
And they knew the museums, they
Yeah.
could do the
Yeah.
shows, and it would be presumptuous. I mean,
Yeah,
everybody
of
had
course.
fewer artists, they're to not try to
Of
collaborate.
course.
But artists need to show New York.
It's important, more than important, And because I didn't want to open, I mean, my son maybe will open one day, but myself, I wanted to be very focused in Paris, And I was one of the actors who made Paris becoming one of the most important, with all my very interesting colleagues, the foundation, Pinot and Arnaud, the fair, FIAC, and all some of the museum. We brought Paris on the map. So, Paris was, for me, a platform to explore the world. And I'm always on planes. So at the end, I didn't want to commit and to be in New York to be the number 25 or, instead of...
I remember Yvan Lambert came.
Yeah. And
great French dealer.
Who was the number one in Paris.
And he came to New York and he collapsed. He came with the attitude and staff of like, we are the big fish. Yeah. And people should come to us.
He was the big fish in Paris.
And he was the big fish. And we all went, so what?
Nothing.
And yes, and it collapsed out of arrogance. Which
course.
was unfortunate, and because
he was the smartest in Europe. He did so clever, and so.
But he couldn't do it in New York.
No, of course not. That's why I didn't want it. From the one who did it, but he committed and he connected was Pierre Matisse. In the 50s, and because he became American, I wanted to stay with my family, and I'm always in planes. So instead of being one of the 25 or 35.
So speaking of planes in Basel, yeah. And we're really thinking about the meaning of Art Basel in the Gulf,
yeah,
and the work that comes from North Africa,
yeah.
Middle East. Yeah. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
I am very, very encouraging this, opportunity to dialogue with those regions. There's, the next Art Basel Doha, which is coming in February, I think. This different exhibition in Saudi Arabia, which is amazing. I mean, those Abu Dhabi, we have a big surprise to announce next year with the Abu Dhabi Guggenheim, huge commitment that we are doing there. So, I mean, there's many things. It's fantastic. We will sign one of the most important artists, maybe the most important artist, it's not signed, but of North Africa. I will announce it this autumn to represent the estate. I will tell you, Josh, when it would be definitely signed. It's mostly done, but I can't say it now.
Don't jinx it, or somebody else will try to beat you to it. But there's I've been going, and I went even more recently. But I think I'm coming in as an American to an outside culture, and you have more cultural history there.
Yeah.
So you're sort of a unicorn.
Yes.
In a funny way.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, yes, maybe.
I don't know if that's to your advantage or disadvantage.
Sometimes I'm an outsider, so I try to do my best. I'm extremely privileged to be what I'm doing today. Gallerist and swimming in the art world. With artists, museum foundation, writers, philosophers. So it's a gift for me. I'm, as I said, 58, and I'm sometime watching my eyes and saying, I'm so lucky. I did what I did because of art.
Well, on that, I think that's a great moment to wrap up. We're privileged to have you. Great job. I'm sure some of the Parisians are like, what are you doing giving this stuff away? It's so anti-Parisian that I love it for a gesture of like, look what you can do too. So once again, thanks to Manuela New York, my art farm, for sponsoring this edition of the Baer Faxt live from Art Basel. And don't forget to go in Soho. They have great food, fresh food, great art. So 2 more things to visit. One is manuela-nyc.com. And what's the best way to keep up with your gallery, would you say?
Thank you, Josh.
Should they Instagram the website?
Yes.
So we'll
do it.
Do it. Keep it up.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.